Welcome back to PCC8, day 2 of the Swiss stages. My name is Ardog with the Triple G's, and I am back with Mr. Meds and Mugiwawa here at the desk. We are about to watch our last match or last game of the day. It's going to be VP Salesman versus Top Physique. VP Salesmen are currently 2-2 and Top Physique are 3-1. For those in chat, you can type !bracket to keep track of these teams and see who's in these rosters and see where they are in the current standings. In this last round, there is a lot at stake. A lot of these teams at the bottom can get eliminated, and if VP Salesman doesn't come out with a win, they're one of the ones we have to say goodbye to. Mugi, start us off with what you know about these two teams.
Well, we already have seen like Top Physique earlier in the day, and we were quite impressed. Like there was that question that were they overperforming, and like the answer is no. They're really like a top dog, and we can see here with this 3-1 scoreline. And so to be fair, like for VP Salesman, it has been like a rough day. Like they had to face Dirty Lake and the boys, they had to face the professors, and they actually also like managed though to beat Flow State. That was like also a team that was considered like one of the top. So VP Salesman has the tool, but they have their back against the wall against a team of Top Physique that has been very strong. So let's see if the Grati Tekken Kid squad is actually able to manage to fight this last hurdle, because otherwise they will have to say bye-bye, go home.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Top Physique's play earlier. We did see VP Salesman yesterday. I was also very impressed by them as well. But like you were saying, they did have some tough competition today. So we will see if they can pull out a win against what is to be, a tough opponent in Top Physique. They already did that with Flow State. So we'll see if they can pull it out here.
And just looking at these top teams, we've got Dirty Lake and the Boys, the Doctors, the Professors, Rogue, Top Physique, Mind the Gap, and VP Salesman. So these bottom teams here are, along with Radis Maximus, are really trying to compete for these last spots, as only 8 will be able to move on to 2 weeks from now into the main event. But enough about that. Let's talk about one of the heroes that really showed up today, and that's going to be the Sevarog.
And you can see that in the meta, like we said, that tanks are dead, but Sevarog is starting slowly but surely to crawling back into the meta. I feel like probably like the only 50% win rate is mainly showed that you need to probably adapt the way you play Sevarog. Like you're still not as tanky as you used to be. Like it's not the Sevarog we have seen in PCC3 that was the red boss, like unstoppable, but you can still like do a lot of good things. We have seen like Lobber popping off in the previous game, but also Macaroni Monster like 2 games ago, like some Cold Cyber can just win you team fight by itself. So I guess that this utility combining with a lot of space creation that Sevarog brings to team that actually like starting to be valuable again in the new meta. Note that we have buffed a little bit those tank items.
Yeah, I think Sevarog is one of those champions that just favors a lot of front-to-back teamfight comps, and we do see that a lot of these teams nowadays are kind of favoring that. We did see D-Lab kind of pulling that off in the last game, where Sevarog is going to take the brunt of the force, and we're going to have the carries in the back line just free hitting, while Sevarog is creating so much chaos on that front line. So I think Sevarog right now has definitely felt.
I love Sevarog because he's one of those heroes that just really scales as this big raid boss. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does play out and see whose teams are going to be piloting him. But let's head into this draft. When you're looking at the roster, though, you got Top Physique and VP Salesman. A lot of them, I don't know if they really do play Sevarog. When you think of Sevarog and when you're looking at PCC, you think about Lobber, and I feel like he's just playing that Sevarog special. But what are the other heroes that you're expecting to see now that we're here in the draft?
Well, I think that on the side of VP Salesman yesterday, like out of 5 of the game they played, they banned Gadget 4 times first ban. Like they don't want to play into Gadget. It seems that's something they have in their like book that they prepared, and with like player like Grati in the team, I can imagine that they have like some strategy plan when it comes to draft. On the side of Top Physique, I expect probably maybe like the classical ban, looking at the aura, because they have the first pick like for themselves, so maybe they want again mercy on that Zarus that we have seen he was very proficient with it, so maybe like trying to remove those direction. But actually they're gonna remove the Zarus and they don't want to leave it open at all here.
Yeah, I kind of do maybe think that the gadget might be picked off here as the ban for VP Salesman. I know Papaya loves gadget. He's very much a gadget enjoyer, very much the same as like Wangle. He's a very much big gadget enjoyer as well. And every of the top players have been saying that gadget has been starting to creep up in the priority, especially with a lot of the tanks coming back, right? Because with the ultimate, she does get that armor and magical shred, right? So she is kind of like that tank killer of the mid lane. But we do see that the mid lane is kind of being dominated still by that Gideon. So maybe they're not going to take it off, but I do expect maybe a gadget ban for Salesman here.
She's also a really safe pick, so she's able to just throw her mines from few feet away and just play really safe and be really slippery. But now we're seeing that Aurora ban coming in from VP Salesman.
And yeah, I think like probably the aura ban is because like in the jungle currently we have the Zarus, we have the aura, and if one is banned, we don't want the other team to get like the other strong pick, so we don't want to already like start with a little bit of like being behind just from the draft. And then we're gonna go for a Decker first pick, like that's a very early Decker. But yeah, once again, not a super high win rate in the first day, but we have seen Toasty being an absolute monster on its previous match. And let's see if Top Physique is actually able to pull up like a performance at least like as good as Toasty, or even like only 50% as good as Toasty is enough to like already dominating your lane, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this Decker pick is actually pretty good here. Like you're saying, it doesn't have a high win rate. Toasty played it very well in the last game, so maybe they're like, oh, we can play it too, right? But it actually denies what I think VP Salesmen really want to prioritize in the off lane, or maybe even that jungle pick, right? Tekken Kid, Grati, they both love the Crunch, right? And Crunch hates Decker, and they also hate Steel, which we just see that Top Physique picked up. So we'll see if that Crunch actually ends up going to the table now that we're seeing a lot of CC come out from Top Physique. But we do see that the Gideon and the Drongo being picked up for VP Salesman. Two pretty staples in the meta right now. Two great picks, very versatile, and they can fit into pretty much any team.
Classic picks coming from VP Salesman. The Gideon and the Drongo both providing a lot of damage, but at the same time, you've got that gag grenade from Drongo, so he's able to just silence anybody from Top Physique's team if they're in the wrong spot. But what's lacking right now is we don't have that front line or that those beefy heroes coming in for VP Salesman. On the other side of Top Physique, they're locking in that Kira.
Yeah, and we have seen that Simba, most comfortable pick is the Kira, so he's gonna repeat it again, and right before the second round of ban to be sure that this Kira is not being removed. And despite like all Mr. Meds has said, like Tekken Kid and Gratia, like all my beers, I don't care about the Decker, I don't care about the Steel, I'm gonna pick the Crunch no matter what. And to be fair, like we have a Drongo, we have a Gideon, we have the Crunch. I kind of like that aggressive composition, but they have to be careful of not like leaving open like picks like the gadget that can reception all of that very well. Also the security gate would be like very tough, so that's kind of one of the ban I would like to see on the side of VP Salesman. But I like also the fact that both the Narbash and the Muriel are still open, which I feel like it's two picks that will like enable the VP Salesman come very well, because you get the dive, and here they are, the gadget ban. I feel like that was like the biggest counter to what they were trying to build, so I'm glad that they removed that. But yeah, like I was saying, Narbash, Muriel, both open, and that could be like a very good way to complete their comp on the support role.
Yeah, we do see the Sevarog being taken away from Top Physique here. We are seeing that VP Salesman does lack a little bit of tankiness. We do see that Crunch being that engage for the team, but we're not seeing a lot of tankiness, unless Crunch is going to build, more tanky, right? But then they're kind of lacking a little bit of damage in that area. So we'll see how that gets rounded out. I think you're right. Maybe a Muriel gets slotted into this VP Salesman team here. Muriel on top of that Crunch, when the Crunch is engaging, is going to provide a lot more tankiness to that Crunch and allow him to sustain through it. But if the Crunch actually engages and gets CC'd by Steel or Decker, that Crunch is going to die a lot. We do see an Iggy and Scorch being picked up for VP Salesman. We haven't seen a lot of Iggy, but there has been a lot of hype around Iggy. So I'm very excited to see what is going to go on here, because we do have a Gideon as well. So wondering what the VP Salesmen are cooking up here.
I think this is going to be a solo lane Iggy and Scorch in the hands of Tekken Kid. Okay, because you already have, we know Grady and Tekken can pilot the Crunch, but that Crunch is going in the jungle. All that's left for VP Salesman is to pick their support. But now we have to see how Top Physique will respond to this Iggy solo lane.
I have to admit, I didn't expect that coming. Like, on my mind, I was like, VP Salesman, yeah, you bring a Muriel, a Quang, very solid comp, like 3 kind of semi-initiator, and you can do like whatever you want, and then suddenly this Iggy appears. But on the side of Top Physique, they're not going to let that fluster them. They're going to round out their composition with a very standard composition, with a Steel Quang front lane, with 2 incredibly strong backliner, Howitzer and Kira. They deal damage throughout the whole game. They can hyperscale the game with a Decker. And here you have like very, very versatile comp. Like the Steel can go in, the Quang can go in, but they can... You still have the Decker to peel for the backline. Howitzer can peel for himself. The Steel can also like come back to peel the backline. Quang as well, which is kind of like a very well-rounded composition. So I'm kind of curious of how VP Salesman are going to round up their own composition and how this like curveball with the Iggy and Scorch are going to pan out in the end.
Yeah, I will say that Iggy and Scorch and Crunch, I don't know if that is like locked in for the jungle pick, right? I don't think Crunch, maybe. I have heard some rumblings that Iggy and Scorch could go jungle, maybe. But actually, one thing that is interesting is this Richter pickup. Now, Richter has been showing up a lot more. He did get some really good buffs in the last patch to his electrocute. So a lot of people have been playing him in the jungle. A lot of people have been playing him as support, obviously. And then he also has been playing in the offlane too. So there's a lot of flexibility here. We don't really know where anybody's going. I would expect that the Richter is going support and this Crunch is going jungle with Iggy offlane. But there could be some shenanigans being thrown around, as there is a lot of flex potential. I've also seen Gideon support in the past. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's definitely something that could be considered.
There is a lot at stake for Game 5. If VP Salesman, if they don't perform and execute with this draft, well, we do have to say goodbye to the Salesman unless they meet their quota. Mugi, you did break down the team comp from Top Physique, but talk to us a little bit more about what you're expecting to see from the Salesman.
Like, to be honest, like this Richter pick, I kind of like it because we only have like 2 damage dealer on the side of Top Physique, Howitzer and Kira. And the better way to just deal with an Howitzer, you just hook him, pretty big hitbox, and then like you just make him disappear. And Richter is very, very good at that. However, the only thing that made me a little bit scared is I feel like it's not easy to get to the Kira. And we have seen like already what Simba can do when it doesn't get like jump on during team fights.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of concern that this Kira is going to run away with the game. We're going to have to see if the Crunch or the Gideon can actually get past that front line of Steel and Quang to get to the back line. But, there is still that dash that Kira has. We do have Decker to kind of protect the Kira. So we'll see if they can actually get there. But I do agree with you, Mugi. This Kira is going to be very, very safe. And we'll see if the VP Salesman can get back to it.
Now that the draft is over, it's Top Physique versus VP Salesman. You're watching Game 5 of the day. It's time to close it out. Let's watch our last match and send it over to Tang and TJ DJ.
Thank you so much, Ardog. Welcome everyone to the casting desk here for the final game of today here at the PCC Swiss Stage. TJ, with Tang alongside me. You know this game's going to be a banger, but Tang, I have a feeling this is going to be a banger, not for the reasons we think it is, right? This is kind of crazy what VP Salesman have cooked up.
Yeah, we did see a bit of a different draft that we are used to. That Iggy pick definitely a big curveball coming in, especially considering that the rest of VP Salesman's comp is centered around dive. So just randomly having an Iggy in there that kind of wants to do the opposite, that wants to peel back, make people come into you, is going to be pretty interesting. It's going to also be interesting to see where it is actually going to go, because Iggy could be played in a few different roles, is best in mid lane, and then debatable where you want to have it next.
Yeah, kind of as you say, you have that role, and then it kind of very quickly nosedives. I know the desk was talking about the potential of that Iggy going in towards the off lane, but yeah, I think like the only thing that we kind of expect really is Drongo ADC and Gideon in the mid, right? So that Richter, that Crunch, and that Iggy can all kind of go anywhere here. I find it very interesting though, is we are in the last round of the Swiss here. VP Salesman wanting to win this game just to kind of keep the best chance of qualifying for the final 8. I mean, I wrote down in my notes they're throwing a curveball with the Crunch. I thought that was curveball enough, and then they do that.
Yeah, definitely weird. I think VP Salesman has had a bit of a hard time making it to this stage as well. I think the only 2 losses were to the Professors and to D-Lab, so definitely not opponents that you can really blame for losing. So VP Salesman have been fighting an uphill battle now against top Physique that already has 3 wins, if I recall correctly. They are fighting for the tournament life, honestly. And I think both teams, if they lose, there is a world where they're actually not going to make it through. So stakes are definitely there. The winner, though, is going to qualify, I'm pretty sure, to like 100%.
Yeah, we decided to put a Butchers on top of a mountain because the stakes are pretty high in this scenario for both of these teams as well. We're just getting some word from production, a bit of a delay getting into the replay for this one. What can I say? Whenever I'm on broadcast, things just go wrong. It's kind of what you get used to in the end. So we're just going to be keeping us with on the cameras for a little bit longer whilst we get into this one. Let's talk a little bit about that top Physique composition though, because honestly, it's nice to have a bit of comfort, right? Or I guess when you have what VP Salesman have drafted, any sort of normal standard composition is kind of comfort food.
It definitely is. So in order for you guys to also remember what they drafted, right? It was the Decker and the Kira on the dual lane. It was the Steel most likely in the off lane, the Howitzer in the mid lane with the Quang either being in the jungle or also being in the off lane with the Steel in the jungle. So all in all, I very much agree with you, right? Like this is a very standard draft. This is also pretty straightforward to play with, right? Like the Decker stun can engage, the Steel ult can engage, there's easy triggers, right? Howitzer boop maybe as well. And all in all, like you can play front to back, you can kite back, you can also be the one going in with the Steel ultimate and the Quang Light of the Heaven as well, right? There's like a lot of ways to actually engage those team fights. And I think though, like drafts like these that you're also used to playing, I think they really play to your strength because you are just comfortable. You're like, maybe it's tournament day, maybe your nerves are a bit high. And I think drafts like this will just make it so much easier for you to actually play the game.
Yeah, of course. It's almost like, going when you get home after a long day at work, just putting on a comfy pair of slippers as well. You can just kind of relax and not so much, autopilot through the game, but it's very important to mention here that we are at the end of day 2 Swiss, right? So both of these teams have been through an absolute ringer, 5 games on day 1 and now their 5th and final game of day 2. And if your mental's feeling a little bit rough, a little bit jaded, that could be the answer to go for something standard, but I guess VP Salesman, they've got quotas to meet, man. They're just gonna throw everything out the window and give you this absolute curveball of a draft as we're still waiting on the spectate mode to come across here, Tang. So I just want to go back towards that VP Salesman draft here with the amount of, I say flex potential, and that's me being very kind, I want to say, with one of these things. So Tang, what do you think is the strongest composition that the VP Salesman can go with when it comes to role assignments?
Okay, so I'm not a Joey, but I do like to cook occasionally as well, right? So putting that Iggy in the jungle, I think personally, right? Like, call me crazy, but I think it's actually pretty okay. I think look, DJ, the strat is you start your turrets and then you go to the blue, place all your 3 turrets before the minions have even spawned, right? So you get the cooldown back, then you can clear blue plus 3 camp, then go to the 4, place 2 turrets there, go to the red buff after, you clear it at 2 minutes 20, and then you're in time to either take 2 camp or contest river. So that is my strat. I don't think they're gonna do that though. I think it is gonna be most likely an Iggy offlane. I think it could also be a Gideon support if they really feel spicy. But yeah, maybe not the best idea to ask me about that.
Well, I mean, I don't know, you seem pretty knowledgeable about that one, and I think, I have seen a couple of streamers also kind of mess around with Iggy jungle, with, like, as you say, the turret tech and shenanigans you can do. I guess that's kind of the next level here, but bringing it out in the PCC on the biggest stage of them all as well. You got some guts. Still getting word that we're having still having difficulties getting in towards the game. So we're just going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we will have the game loaded and we're going to see what on earth this game is going to show to us. So we're going to be back in a few moments. All right, welcome back, everyone. As that countdown suggested, we're back on the cams as well. We are going to be jumping down into the game, and here we go at long last, everyone. We still have energy. We're still here. The final game of PCC Swiss on this broadcast, going to be Top Physique versus a VP Salesman. Top Physique on your Dawn side, VP Salesman on Dusk as well. And oh, do not give me that spinning buffering, my friends. Okay, there we go. Everything seems to be all good, right? But the moment of truth, what are the lane assignments for the VP Salesman?
So we already see in the top that it's gonna be an Iggy in that offlane, makes his way over already. So he's gonna be playing against that steal in the offlane. Is gonna aim to get the lead in the early game and then outscale the steal hopefully on the side lane. Make sure that the steal can't really get much in the early games, as we see a bit of a cheeky invade with the ward on the 5 camp that should have been spotted there by Poggy D and Step Back Stunner. So that is going to mean like no early game shenanigans. It's also going to mean that the Iggy offlane has been spotted out already, so that Steel can itemize against it as well, can go for some magical armor instead of what he usually goes for with like Ella Frost and stuff like that, and should be able to scale pretty well into that Iggy as long as he doesn't get bullied out too hard in the early game.
It does seem to be that steal offlane might be a little bit of a cursed pick. We have seen it several times this weekend where it feels like offlaners have kind of gone as the ultimate fallback and are just not able to find that impact on the steal here. Tekken Kid with the Iggy in the offlane, getting the turrets down on towards that blue buff. Going to be taken by Grati as well, so going to keep things pretty standard. Of course, that means the Crunch is going to be on blue side. You also have Mercy on that Quang also on his red side. So junglers are going to be mirroring each other as they move across the map. Grati going very aggressive already with this invade.
Already going for the 2 camp. Turrets dropped at the blue buff for the Iggy, which means he's not going to have any pressure on lane, but it means that the Crunch is a bit faster on the clear already on the 2 camp. Is going to be able to steal that away most likely if we get the camera back there. Crunch is on the way out. Maguli takes a big trade in return though, but Grazi should have gotten away with the steal. Now Mercy is not happy about that. Is going to make his presence known in the mid lane, just going to throw around his sword, but that's all she wrote. And Grazi gets away with the steal, at least so far. Grazi though makes his way over to the left hand side at the dual lane. Needs to be careful.
Yeah, there's going to be some shenanigans, not to start, but as this game goes on, Mercy's going to drop the tether on towards the left-hand side. Grati moving there as well here. And as you say, Grati going to be a lot more happy with that start as well, as, we get to see what the value that Iggy offlane, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that sentence, can provide in these situations as well. When you start to look at tech, though, Obey is going to use that landmine onto Magali as well. Take the river buff with a nice bit of tech as well.
Does not only get the 1 river buff, but should also be able to get the other one. Has a ward on top of it, so knows that it has not been claimed quite yet, even with the Crunch over there. But on that off lane, the steal is struggling a tiny bit against Tekken Kid. Needs to just scale up a bit, get his first few items, then the turrets will hurt a lot less. Also, Iggy is pretty strong, but he's also very vulnerable to a gank potentially by the Quang. So honestly, last Parax is just gonna have to weather the storm, chill under turret, get the CS he can get. Just as long as he doesn't die, that steal is already doing his job.
And I get the sense as well in games like this, when you are off lane, obviously talking to an off lane main like yourself, Tang, with competitive experience, sometimes you're in that match where you just kind of have to weather the storm, right, and just say that, okay, the rest of the team has got this one. I've just got to not die in this situation. But I don't think, yeah, so we've not seen Iggy and Scorching off lane in a hard moment. There's probably a good reason for that.
Definitely is. I think Iggy is pretty scary at scaling though as well, so still can't just rest on his laurels. As it's really important as a laner to also make known when you need help, and I think this lane is like one of these where you kind of need to tell your Kwang that you need just to spam gank that Iggy, make his life miserable, make sure that he can't abuse his kit to his fullest, otherwise you're just going to be stuck under turret the entire game. Otherwise Gratty will keep on taking your 2 camps away. Makes his way over now.
Bull Rush going to find the first stun into the root, into the Tether and the knock-up. That's a blink follow from Mercy, looking for the pick, but Gratty and Magali looking to respond in kind. And Mercy has to use his surge, get some distance. The light gives him a shield, and it will just be enough as it's going to give him enough to survive the onslaught. But Obey is here on this tower, so he jumps in, but does not want to jump quite out that close to Gratty here. A lot of movement on this right-hand side. Looks like VP Salesman read the play. Over on the left-hand side, seems to be a bit more standard on what we're used to here than the craziness over on the other side.
So blinks used across the board. Kwang blink down, so is the blink for the Howittz on the other side. We see Gideon, Crunch, no blinks as well, with Iggy also blinking in that engagement. So only Steel, the one left with a blink. So could still threaten the all-in against the Iggy, but Mercy already on the other side of the reset is gonna start up that Fangtooth instantly. His dual lane does actually not have Prio, so this is a really risky one, really banking on the fact that it is gonna be VP Salesman not checking that it is the Kwang actually starting up that objective.
And it seems like there are a few cards moving in their favor, shall we say. I mean, Obey getting a push on towards Magali, forcing him back to his tier 1 tower. The dual lane taking their gold buff. I mean, they have that one ward on the left-hand entrance here. And it actually, the look has kind of gone their way. Sometimes you need, in order to have these situations, in order to have the look going your way, you need to have these situations. VP Salesman are probably thinking, wait a minute, what just happened? How do we lose that Fangtooth?
Especially since they have the Iggy, right? Usually as the Iggy, you are the team that banks on getting those objectives early, get those objectives as soon as they spawn, but the mini prime has not yet spawned even, and Iggy hasn't really been able to make much work on the right hand side. Should have a decent CS lead, but honestly, against the Steel, that doesn't really matter too much, but I'm definitely expecting that to matter in the long run, with the Iggy sort of being the one that can easily do the mini prime as soon as it spawns. We see Crunch make his way over towards the river. Now it's the 7-minute mark. That's when the mini prime spawns as well. So definitely thinking that if they get a pick towards the mid lane, no blink, maybe they're looking for something. It's gonna go with the slow. It's gonna punch him a few more times, but the price is just gonna be the river buff instead.
Just trying to relieve some pressure as well. Force a reset. Gratty does not have the level 6 at that moment. And as we know, the crunch with the re-crunch ultimate coming online just all of a sudden becomes a different beast to deal with here. 7.5 minutes on the board. We're still at 0 kills to 0. Step back stunner making a move on towards the mid lane, matching Chicken's rotation. Good sidestep coming out. That Whiplash not going to find the mark here. We've not really had to pay much attention towards the left-hand side, because when I look at this mini-map, everything is happening on this right-hand side. Mercy hits the wall. Gratty able to clear it and get back to safety here, but both teams are really starting to play with fire. Gratty, though, starting to get quite a lead in that jungle role.
Definitely does, but for Mercy, it's a time to celebrate as well, because Kwang was finally at 8 minutes able to clear his 2 camp for the first time in the game, so really good for him. Big celebrations for him for sure. Maybe he's gonna celebrate by looking towards that offlane again. Tekken Kid, no blink up, it's gonna get engaged on.
That's going to be the tether, the shield slam into the stasis bomb, and a pick onto Tekken Kid. This Iggy and Scorch finally goes back to base, and it's the cherry on top. First blood goes the way of top Physique, and also a rotation coming out from Chicken.
Big rotation mid lane is gonna be Obey. The Papaya stuck in his bad spot is gonna trade a bit of damage with Maguli, but with the torn space missing, he's gonna be able to come out positively in the trade. Now, Mini Prime being started up is actually the worst case scenario for VP Salesman. That's the objective down. That's Iggy's sort of objective damage made completely useless, with Iggy looking into the gray screen a bit too long before. Now, with the Papaya in the mid lane is gonna get engaged on, does not have the blink up, is gonna use the ultimate though to buy some more distance.
As Magali and Stebaxon are still going to follow him. Obey is low. Tekken Kid with the flank, looking to pincer, looking to get the pick on towards one of these members. Going to be caught inside as another stun ball lands. The Impale comes out, trying to get the pick onto Mercy. The Fury of the Heavens nearly gets the kill onto Magali, but Gratti forward crunches in towards the river, takes down his opposing member on Mercy. That's going to at least be a 1 kill back for the side of VP Salesman. Everyone backs away as well. We just had 1 pick, but again, big rotation coming out from multiple lanes.
Definitely is, and Iggy came back fresh from spawn, is pretty strong, so is able to help his team out there. As we get a bit of a tap screen, we see 30 CS advantage over to the side of VP Salesman. Looking at the offlane CS, we can see that pretty much everything is there, right? 40 CS the difference between Tekken Kid and Last Pyrex. We see Last Pyrex though already having that Raiment complete, and if you don't know what Raiment does, it just grants you a lot of life regen. So this guy, even if he takes damage, since he heals off his missing HP, the more damage he takes, the less he cares about it, because he's gonna heal everything up. Tier 1 tower already down, but local gold not collected by the Iggy.
And it feels to me as well, when you're taking something like a Raiment of Renewal as a first item as well, definitely understanding the mission statement of I just need to not die, I just need to somehow deal with this Iggy and Scourge. But it's important to mention as well, the tier 1 tower did drop, but Tekken Kid was not around to collect the gold from that, as the minions were able to take it out. But of course, it's a bit of a problem there for Last Pyrex. He just doesn't have that wave clear. I'm seeing another grouping up here from the side of the VP Salesman, this time looking over towards that Fangtooth side.
Obey needs to be careful. Did have to feel the Richter hook a few times before as well. Does have the blink up now, so shouldn't be under too much threat. No ultimate up quite yet. Actually, as I say, it comes off cooldown. Decker is gonna drop the cage in order to buy more distance, but both teams want to buy around that Fangtooth, at least not give it up. 4 members for VP Salesman already in the vicinity, but importantly, no Iggy. Now Kwang also makes his way over. Maguli goes in.
Ooh, that's on space, able to get 4 members immediately on towards that Decker. A good blink will keep Chicken alive for now. Throws a stun ball out, not going to find the mark. VP Salesman looked like they went for a bit of a set play, trying to bait members in, but that Fangtooth is still going to be standing still on the board, and now Top Physique are going to respond. They have the advantage, flooding members in. It looks like Tekken Kid's going to be left on split pushing duty. They really want this Fangtooth, with Last Pyrex making the move. That's a containment fence dropping down. They will be the one securing it. Can they get any exit frags? It looks like not, as the VP Salesman will get to safety here. But look towards right hand side. Tekken Kid's on this tier 2 tank.
And he's just eating these turrets, these towers alive with his turrets, dishing out so much damage against those structures that this tier 2 is already falling. Pays for it with the Fangtooth being claimed, the second Fangtooth of the game for Top Physique. So all in all, it's a decent trade, honestly, for VP Salesman. A lot of gold into Iggy. That's important. Like, Iggy can probably almost finish up his second item at this point. Has a massive CS lead. Is down 1 kill, but honestly, that doesn't matter too much. Now, I really want to see that Iggy leverage his advantage to play around that mini prime, uses turrets for that objective as well, and then just set up early for that third Fangtooth. Make sure that it is not going to be Top Physique securing that more important third Fangtooth of the game for themselves.
And I get the sense as well that when we get towards this point in the game, I think for Top Physique here is they kind of got over the curveball, right? They have kind of adapted and still kind of playing through their composition, knowing that they just kind of need to play their roles and able to match it here. Beta Papaya is going to take yet another Whiplash from step back. Stunner going to throw out the Make It Rain on towards his members. That's going to be an Impale on towards Mercy, who really wants to kill on towards this Gideon, who throws out the Black Hole. Going to start to retreat though. The Containment Fence comes out. Mercy goes back in, wanting to get the burst. That's the Richter out of the fight, but Tekken Kid is here. Use that Inferno, but a great landmine keeps him away from getting the full channel. Simba still causing problems. Going to go in on that Kira, wanting to find the damage. Last Pyrex with the flank from the right-hand side. Top Physique wanting to get kills. They throw everything at the kitchen sink, but it's only the one pick onto that Richter support.
And again, it's VP Salesman instantly playing the map, giving the carry of Poggy D another tier 1, making sure that this Stronger is gonna dish out a lot of damage, but the rest of his team had to suffer there again. A bit of an overstep, trying to chase after Mercy, and it is the Gideon, I think, going down there in that engage. Maguli a bit too deep in with Quang, still having his abilities up in order to disengage. Able to at least make it only a 1-for-0 tier 1 claimed, right? So as long as those structure trades go positively for the side of VP Salesman, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But slowly but surely we're gonna come to a point where those tier 1 structures don't exist anymore, where you actually have to team fight, and VP Salesman has to show me that they are able to do this. Gratty goes in.
Well, this is going to be how you start it, as, oh my word, the Riplash was so perfectly timed on towards Abe. He's got no chance to get out of that one, but Top Physique want to get some revenge, and they will find it. Gratty is going to pay for his aggression. Last Pyrex with the rotation, going to lock down this Richter and take him out the fight once again. Top Physique finding a 2-for-1 in the mid lane. If they're not going to win the lanes, they're going to win the Death Ball team fights.
And Mini Prime is up now, and now we see that the jungler is dead, so Iggy can't leverage his advantage anymore, and it's gonna be the Mini Prime most likely given over to Top Physique again. Just misplay after misplay, not reading the map correctly, dying at unfortunate time. Tekken Kid still wants to do something, goes in.
That's a black hole on towards Mercy, on towards Chicken, immediately going to be cancelled. Magli's not in a good position. That Mini Prime as well still being aggroed. It's going to be the shield slam coming out from Last Pyrex. The Mini Prime will be secured by Top Physique, but they need to get out alive. That's what VP Salesman need to do, but they have lost Tekken Kid in the brawl. Gratty returns from spawn, and Poggy D will at least be able to get a kill back 1-for-1, but the Mini Prime has gone the way of Top Physique.
Again, Mini Prime dies instantly off. As with the first one, it is the Quang going down after the fact. So it's not going to be an option for Top Physique to actually leverage that in order to get more structures on the map. What it does give them is it does give them global gold. It does give them XP as well. So that's going to feel pretty decent for them. It also denies the Mini Prime away from the team that just looking straight at compositions is supposed to get that Mini Prime. So with that being said, teamfight wins, still more in favor of Top Physique, and now is the time where the Fangtooth is gonna spawn as well. The third Fangtooth of the game, the sort of win condition for a lot of comps, and I really need to see Tekken Kid on that Iggy, dished out so much damage in the last fight, but also leverage it now when it matters the most around that Fangtooth fight.
Be that oh so important. Cannot allow for Top Physique to get the third one, the free Fangtooth Monty, to give them those permanent bonus stats of 8% to your offense and defensive skills. That's going to make Top Physique, their team fight, look even more dangerous with VP Salesman. As I say with Tekken Kid, what you wanted to see, Tang, has already got the turrets down, but they are currently having to concede a bit of priority over the entrance towards the pit. Last Pyrex is split away, looking for an opportunity. That shield slam that the steel can bring can really cause problems. That's a Riplash going to go wide from step back stunner. Neither team able to really find that clean engage for now. They're both simply going to look at each other, and looks like we're in for a bit of a dance for now. Mercy stepping forward, Tether will land on towards this Richter, but again, neither team wanting to pull the trigger. Neither one wants to go for it. Step back, sort of goes for the blink. No, but that's got a great landmine to knock him up, but there's a double impale. There's the black hole over the top, looking to combine, and Poggy D provides the damage. The Make It Rain coming out from this howitzer gets a lot of return damage, but it's just going to be him back to spawn. Poggy D gets a double kill for this one, as the VP Salesman still have 5 members around this Fangtooth pit.
They have 5 members. They also have the Iggy turrets around, and it's so hard to face tank this as the Steely still goes in. Bull Rush in with the Kira on the flank. Tries to go onto Tekken Kid, but does not find him. Steel goes lower as well. Tekken Kid against Simba. Dawn Space in by the Gideon, trying to bring up the damage, but it's Richter in the front line as well. Simba against everything, and I think everyone is gonna win instead. Teamfight win now by VP Salesman. Also gonna get that Fangtooth most likely on the back end of it, but Mercy already on his way over.
He's going to go straight into the pit. All eyes towards this one. Fangtooth goes the way of Top Physique. They're going to get the steal. And they're looking for exit frags as health bars are so low across the board. But it's just VP Salesman. Even though they lose that Fangtooth from the steal, they still get the exit frags. It's going to be absolute chaos on that left-hand side of the map. And finally, we get to breathe a sigh of relief.
I think that was 6 kills threaded over for that Fangtooth and 1 kill. So that third Fangtooth was worth 5 kills for the side of Top Physique. Honestly, looking straight at the stats, I would tend to say this could be worth it, right? Like you get the bonus stats, and those are not only those are not temporary, like those are permanent buffs. And the longer the game goes on, the more stats it's gonna give you, right? So for the side of Top Physique, I think the bigger problem is that they are already seeing that in those objective fights, it's just so hard for them to actually walk in when Iggy has already set up. It has to be the Howitzer and the Kira clearing away those turrets. Otherwise, Steel, even with a lot of magic resist, Quang, they will just get melted away by that Iggy and Scorch.
Definitely bringing the Scorch part to what Tekken Kid can bring there. And you can see the heat coming out, having to use the belch from that Inferno just to boop last pirates away. But they have conceded pressure around the right-hand side of the map. All Prime is going to be spawning in just a matter of moments. Obey drops down, able to avoid a Riplash. Chicken goes for the 3-pointer, but not going to find the hit on towards that Richter. Top Physique having control here. They're down in kills, but they're not playing like that at all. Almost relishing in the chaos of it all. It's important to mention Tang as well for VP Salesman. Yes, 9 kills, but 7 of them are on Poggy D's Drongo, and he's got to keep that one up here as VP Salesman looking to collapse Mercy. Blinks away from the safety. That's a lot burned just to get the Quang blink.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates. So in the short run, it's actually not bad for Top Physique. If they fight now, it's gonna be without a lot of ultimates. That Blink has a longer cooldown though, so those ultimates will be up beforehand. Richter might be actually in a bad spot. Mercy and Chicken is looking at them. It's gonna connect with the hook.
They're going to go into the Impale as well, combining the CC, trying to take down Chicken, but no one looks his way, and Chicken is going to keep himself alive. Last Pyrex with the flank. Simba providing the damage. Top Physique looking to pounce, and they're looking towards Porgy D, who will get the shutdown. We're going to find out, though, but they have taken out the Drongo, and it goes to exactly who Top Physique needed. Simba cashes in on a massive bounty on Porgy D.
And that's so huge for the Kira. The Kira getting accelerated is the way for Top Physique to break the stalemate, to actually do something against that Iggy that is really strong against those tanks, but tends to sort of struggle against those ADCs that can just instantly clear those turrets, that don't have to actually be the ones face tanking all of the damage, but can instead just pretty much one-shot the Iggy that has built that orb of growth, has a bit more damage than usual. But honestly, the difference between getting hit by 3 basics and falling and 4 basics and falling is pretty much negligible at the end of the day. Now, Big Prime has spawned 21 minutes in the game, and I think both teams need to be really, really careful, especially Top Physique, because we know Iggy can do it really fast. Mercy's looking for him though.
Well, we've got to, if you take out Iggy, that's not going to be the problem here. But Grassy's causing problems. That's a double boop away from the Inferno. And Mercy stuck inside the turrets. Look at the damage that can come out when you fight in Tekken Kid zone here. But Magali's Black Hole to combine. VP Salesman looking for picks, and Top Physique have been poked out so low. The Blast Flower causes all kinds of problems, but VP Salesman's keeping strong, keeping together, keeping members healthy in this one. And Top Physique having to run to the hills to make it rain on towards Magali, just trying to disengage this fight, but VP Salesman pull the trigger and they get a pick onto the jungler. Or Prime is going to be the play here.
Really smart of them to instantly start this up. The rest of Top Physique haven't recoiled yet, so they are going to be in the vicinity looking. Iggy can honestly just throw Molotovs at them because the turrets are what deals damage anyways. Doesn't need to be close. Step back stunner in the front line. Simba needs to be careful. Ult is going to connect. Simba explodes.
Ooh. Step back, sort of hitting the Stone Cold Stunner on that one. Simba is gonna drop, but it will be at the cost of his mid lane, and Magali is down, and the Orb Prime getting involved as well, still dealing a lot of damage. Porgy D is out as well. The Orb Prime's got some hands by the looks of things as well, and VP Salesman have to lick their wounds and retreat from the right-hand side.
That's a disaster. That's also the blink used by the Drongo. It did escape the howitzer, but there is a big purple worm angry at you, and their missiles, they don't miss. So he is gonna end up paying for his life. 15 more seconds on the Drongo, 5 more seconds on that Gideon, and it is Top Physique instantly pouncing, starting up that Primal Fangtooth.
They have still got Gratty here. I mean, if Mercy can get a steal, so can Gratty if he can get in towards this pit. Step back Stunner leading the charge. Gonna try and get a silence. Gonna hit a Riplash. They're one towards Obey. And Top Physique gonna try and turn. They're gonna try and burn. They're gonna try and use their ultimates to combine. And they take down Gratty in the Chaos Jungler down. They still have priority over this objective, but they're not looking that healthy. And now Tekken Kid is here as well. It's all up to last Pyrex. He has to zone away. He can't allow members to drop. Obey having to blink away. Magali looking to follow. Porgy D is here into the pit. Primal Fang is going to be secured. But VP Salesman want to clean up house. They want the exit frags. Members starting to go low and lower and lower, and Top Physique are the ones who come out on top. They got engaged in the pit. The shooting fish in a barrel. The fish have got to shoot back on this one, and VP Salesman lose 4 and run to the hills.
They run away, but it's only Gideon left. The rest of his team looks into a gray screen. Crunch the first one out of it, but is it fast enough? Kira already on that Prime. The first time it didn't work, but now with that flame-ish hue around their bodies, they think otherwise this time. Decker is gonna be on zoning duty. The rest of his team is gonna be able to start this up. Still 10k damage on it. The waves are in a pretty bad spot for them. Gideon is looking, but there is no crunch nearby. This one should go in favor of Top Physique.
Gonna go their way, and that is it. The double bubble buff in the hands of Top Physique. A purple hue and flame in their hearts, and now we get to see what this composition can really bring as well. But VP Salesman have kept this one so close, and honestly, I'm just glad that we have a moment, not just of the casters and players and also viewers as well, to just kind of relax a little bit, right? Because we've just had fight after fight, action after action. So everyone, take a breath whilst you can, because this game's still got plenty in it.
Definitely is. I'm just taking a sip of the water. I don't hope for Top Physique to do the same though, because they are on a timer. They have the Primal Fang that is gonna expire, so is the Prime. So they need to actually make that do something for themselves, because we've seen it so many times, even in other tournaments as well. If an Iggy goes into late game, it is very volatile. If the Iggy gets a good position in, if he can time his stasis correctly, he is gonna be able to swing a team fight on his own. But against the Primal Fang, against the Prime, it's gonna be so hard. Mid tier 2 is getting pushed down. Mercy and Chicken in the front line. They're also playing on the right hand side as well. They're gonna let Steel push on his own. Should be able to get the tier 2 with no contest. Left wave is also pushing in, but the inhib line, that is gonna be a different beast.
This has to be the defense. VP Salesman have had to concede a lot of map pressure, you know, because it was only moments ago they were staying on towards a tier 2. That's a Riplash, that's a stun on towards Mercy. He goes low, but Mercy still survives. Gratty on the meanwhile is trying to get a little bit of push it back towards the left-hand side, but Top Physique are not going to relent on this siege either. Going to take start to get some damage on towards the right-hand side. Step Stunner is out of this fight already, and losing the Riplash might be the final nail in the coffin here, as Simba pushing forward, trying to get the kill on towards Tekken Kid. Another Molotov coming out, but the right inhibitor will be the natural target. Gratty's done some work to at least stop a third inhibitor falling, but with Top Physique here, they've got all 5 members in towards the base. It's onto VP Salesman to hold a little bit longer. It looks like Primal Fangtooth though has expired, but the All Prime is still on.
Still on. They're looking for the core. It's still a few seconds for Rick. The Gratty gets caught. Tries to go in. Magului as well. Rick Crunch makes it to safety. Tekken Kid tries his best. Is gonna get engaged on Pyrex. Hits the stun. Is gonna be good night. Drongo gets to safety with a good shrapnel cannon, but the Richter pulls the steel back. Good night there. It is VP Salesman salvaging the fight, surviving for a bit longer.
and they're able just adding members to their name. The last nail in the coffin, they pull it out. This game is still going. Gratti looking to try and get an engage on towards Obey the Papayas Howitzer, trying to stagger the base as Obey's going to jump over the wall. He's going to make him a Gratti and Magali follow him over torn space or not. They take out the Howitzer, but most importantly, VP Salesman hold on to their base.
They hold on. Big Richter pull onto the steel, pulling him either under core or close enough for the rest of his team to finish the deal. Now Gratti is a bit caught, is in a bad spot, but there is no vision anywhere close by for the side of Top Physique, so he should be able to make it out alive, but he needs to be careful. Fangtooth is gonna spawn any second now. He shouldn't be on the map when he's that low HP. Is gonna most likely back on a ward, or at least be shown to the side of VP Salesman, which could trigger sort of an early contest of that Fangtooth pit. Even if they don't want to fight it quite yet, they want to at least get those wards in, because remember, in those later stages of the game, wards are what wins you the game. Perfect knowledge of where the enemy team is just gonna make it so much easier to find the fights that you actually want to take.
Especially when we are at this level of play as well, when everyone is in comms, everyone trying to play off the same one. Step back stunner hits the Riplash on towards Mercy. He's going to lock down. Can they take down the jungle? But last Pyrex able to get the shield stand. Mercy surges away, but Porgy D, the Rad rounds find their mark. It's last Pyrex still trying to play defense. He's trying to get members away from his backline, but 4 members onto his tanky steel. He's finally going to fall and make it rain from Obey the Papaya on towards his Richter, who gets back towards safety here, but one jungler is down. VP Salesman have got at least some priority here on the neutral gameplay, but they're taking the reset here. They don't go for the objective.
And Stepback Stunner just doesn't miss with his hooks, just really on point, getting the Quang there behind the Decker and making sure that the jungler is out of contention for this one. Now Gratti needs to be careful that the same fate doesn't happen to him. With no Iggy anywhere close by, it's gonna be really hard for VP Salesman to actually start up that objective. The most damage they have is obviously together with the Drongo and the Iggy, but the Iggy has like the bonus sort of advantage that any member that walks close to the pit is also gonna get aggroed by those turrets, so it's an easy sort of flip for them. Chicken needs to be careful, so needs Obey.
Riplash went wide on towards his Howitzer. It's a sidestep away from Obey to keep himself alive. A step back stunner really starting to hit them Riplashes, and we're at the point now we're approaching 31 minutes. Death time is a 40 plus seconds if you are hit here. Top Physique though, they're going to be the ones to start up this objective. 5 members in the pit. VP Salesman are on the way. The only ones close here are going to be step back stunner, but Gratti following behind. He's not very healthy. This might be a one-way ticket, but ultimates are back on cooldown. Look towards last Pyrex, look towards the zoning. A screen, step back stunner is here. Magali goes for the black hole play on the back line. It's going to be Top Physique securing the primal fangs. Now they're going to look for the team fight, but there's a lot of CC coming down. Tekken Kid in the Epoch strikes a pose, but he is going to drop. But it's going to be the cost. Simba falls down to Porgy D. Another Riplash connects from step back stunner, but that is not a fight that Porgy D wants to take. And now everyone looking for the retreat. It's a scrappy fight. Everyone is split up, but looking towards the death timers, looking at who is down. It favors Top Physique.
Gideon did escape at the very least, so he's gonna be able to clear the wave that is pushing in towards the right-hand side, but Richter is caught on the other side of the map. Is gonna slowly but surely getting run down by Howitzer, but is that actually worth it? Was there actually an angle to look for the end of the game instead? A lot of time invested by by Top Physique to make sure that VP Salesman has as many people dead as possible, but that gives time for the crunch to respawn. That gives time for the Iggy and the Drongo to be up next as well. But I think for Top Physique, they are just gonna look for that prime, and even with crunch already respawning, I don't think he's gonna have enough time to get into the pit, especially considering that Decker and Steel have done an outstanding job making sure that Gratti cannot enter any of those pits.
It's not just on paper that the crunch can struggle getting towards the pit, but the players. And also, you know, last Pyrex as well, really impressing me on the steal. But they're all in the pit now. There's no zoning, but they know that Gratti is too far away to get involved. That's going to be then, once again, with a double bubble buff once more. And now, what can they do with it? All inhibitors have respawned for the VP Salesman, but these are fake inhibitors. They will not shoot back. So all the top Physique need to do is just get towards that line. And VP Salesman try to push the waves back as much as they can and get ready for another defense runner inhibitor line, but the core is going to be the target though.
Is most likely going to be the target. It does look like they want to clear all their inhibs, so they're going to go the left lane first, going to make sure that to get rid of that tier 2 and the last real inhib. The last two are out of paper, as you highlighted. They're not gonna shoot back. I think for the side of VP Salesman, they have to wait out that Primal Fang again. It is up on, I think, 3 members. Kiro, for example, doesn't have it. Mid lane, though, Mercy forced to blink away. Good catch there by Gratti.
Oh, Gratti went for the top ropes play as well. But thankfully, Mercy is very... got his finger on that trigger of that blink, but that is going to be a 5-minute cooldown. Probably his last blink of the game as well with how this one is going. With another siege starting, you can see those middle and solo lane inhibitors are sitting on the ground. They will not shoot back. As we have highlighted here, it's just up towards the members to look towards the actual only inhibitor here. Simba and Last Pyrex are alone here, but VP Salesman not wanting to engage that fight just yet, just clearing the waves. Being very patient here, and also from top Physique as well. They've not just simply ran it down, they're still playing for that pick, playing towards an opportunity here, as that's going to be a Ripwalk display, going to get them all in, and now VP Salesman look for the pick, that black hole. Magali, that's dealing so much damage, and VP Salesman, was this the fight they were looking for in towards a double buffed up team? It's going to be Simba dropping. They've lost Magali though, they've now lost their howitzer as well, but VP Salesman is still here. Mercy was trying to get damage on towards the core, but another Riplash comes in and Mercy is out. VP Salesman looks like they're holding their base one more time.
Oh my god, they wait out the Primal Fang, they instantly pull the trigger, the second Fang, the Primal Fang Tooth expires. Richter goes in with the Riftwalker's cure play, hero play by him, even escapes with his life, locking down 3 of the members for the rest of VP Salesman to dish out the damage. Maguli, the only one dropping 3 members to 1. Big teamfight win, and honestly, this is gonna give them so much tempo on the map. Fangtooth is gonna be the objective that spawns the next, and I think for VP Salesman, they had the same problem over and over again. They were the second ones to arrive at those objectives. Now, it looks to be a difference because they have actually the first move, but Gratti needs to be careful again because Dekka is there. It's a 1 versus 2.
Well, a bit of supportal combat here. Gratti hits 2 with the uppercut. Maybe though it's Chicken and Last Pyrex don't really have that much damage. Gratti's got hands, and these hands are ready to either everyone as well. Step back stunner is going to be here, but Gratti's taking damage here. Gratti can't stick around too long. This Decker Chicken's causing problems. Going to force a blink, but Tekken Kid is here combining with the Impale. They want to take out the Decker, want to take out this Steel as well. Chicken is out. He is roasted by that Iggy and Scorch. Last Pyrex goes to the re-engage because Simba on that Kira. There is the damage that top Physique were looking for. Now members start to arrive one after another, conga lining towards this left hand side, but it is going to be a 1-for-1. Both these supports putting on a clinic, but neither support's going to be in for this next fight.
Yeah, big misplay there by the Steel. Not using the ultimate to save his Decker, not using the ultimate to get rid of the jungler, instead saving it for whatever reason to go on the Richter instead. So a bit of a questionable play that opens up the Fang to fight again for the side of VP Salesman. Gratti did come back from spawn, is full HP. Iggy does have actually a back as well, so he is not going to be there quite yet. Have to give up positioning again. Don't have the waves with 2 inhibs still being down. Woods littered everywhere. Mercy smelling that Iggy is not there and instantly goes for that objective again.
How many times have we seen those Iggy turrets get the kills in these fights as well, just knowing that they're not going to be around for now as that Primal Fang Tooth started up. But once again, Gratti, Poggy and Magali are here. Poggy caught out. Poggy is down. Magali goes for the black hole play, but Top Physique don't care. They're looking for the pick on towards the jungler. A good forward crunch gets Gratti to safety at least, but the Primal Fang Tooth is still burning away. Magali's got to be careful here. He taunts spaces in towards the waiting arms of Top Physique. Thank you very much. Delivered on a silver platter. First class post. And immediately Top Physique back on towards the Primal Fang Tooth. And there is no one from BP Salesman around to stop it this time.
You know, if on the first try you don't succeed, maybe on the second, maybe on the third, maybe on the fourth, maybe on the fifth, but now maybe on the sixth try, now they got the Primal Fang Tooth finally for the sixth time. And as we always say, TJ, the sixth time is the charm. That's when they will make the push into the enemy base. They have it on all 5 members. Maybe they go for the reset into the prime again to give us a bit more time to watch this beautiful game. But honestly, I think for the side of VP Salesman, I think the biggest problem is they just don't play around the Iggy. I just don't understand why they even picked it. Every single fight it is without that Iggy never being able to set up in the pit. It's always Gratti just running into those pits alone with Poggy D also on the front line with Iggy back in base clearing waves. Just give up the objective. Don't give over those kills if you don't have to, because otherwise it's going to be the same again and again. You're going to have to clutch at the core because it's going to be Top Physique picking up those double objectives for the 6th time.
Well, as you say, 6th time is the charm, but maybe for VP Salesman, they're hoping for 3rd time's the charm. If they can hold this base, this will be the 3rd time they have defended it. Or Prime going to be secured once again by Top Physique. I know I'm going to say the line, but it's a very apt here. Double bubble buff, Primal Fang. Yeah. We've all been here before. We've listened to me cast, but all on 5 members, right? We're now going to have a 5 versus 5, at least for VP Salesman. Tekken Kid's going to be in this fight, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Let Tekken Kid press his Q ability on the ground, his flame turrets, because they actually deal damage. So the trick is you want people to actually go on top of you instead of you diving into the enemy where the Iggy can't dish out any damage. And I think with the core being a stationary object, TJ, I think that is what is gonna happen next.
Well, it's gonna be something that they can rally behind because it is up to Top Physique. That solar lane minion wave will crash under the core. Does 1% damage. Or I just need to do 99 more of them and we'll be getting to the end of this one. But honestly, I mean, 50 minutes from day number 1. It's 40 minutes for this one. Bangers for the last game of both of these days. Minion wave going to be cleared once again. Another minion wave going to crash under. The core's actually healed back to 100% as well. Both teams just waiting for an opportunity. But as you say, VP Salesman, they don't actually need to engage here. Top Physique, it's on to them to do something here. But that core is starting to melt there. It just drops down to half HP there. There's going to be a Riplash connecting on towards Gratti. And Magali goes for the black hole as well. VP Salesman trying to fight with these turrets, dealing damage as well. They have their fountain, but they don't have their Gideon. Magali is going to drop. She can get a kill. Step back stunner, not finding a Riplash on towards a Beta Papaya. Another minion wave is going to crash, but the fountain will heal up. VP Salesman forgets another move. Step back stunner, Rift Walkers in, goes on a hook play, but that's going to be so much damage going back onto him, and Simba is able to get the kill on towards a Richter. They're losing members, they're bleeding, they're hemorrhaging these picks here. Gratti is chased away from his core and he is going to drop. It is now only Poggy D, only Tekken Kid to defend from 4 members of Top Physique, and they have all 3 waves crashing under the core. Simba just needs a couple of shots on towards that big stationary target. They're going to still get the damage down, but Top Physique finally close out this game in 41 minutes.
And that's why the 6th Fang Tooth is just kind of broken. That was the win condition that Top Physique was aiming for since minute 1. Just wanted to give us a banger of the game all the way through. Wanted to see us complete all of their items as well. We see full item builds on a lot of their carries. So definitely a banger to watch, a banger to cast as well. But honestly, as the last game of the day, probably miserable to play for the players themselves.
I mean, yeah, after the weekend that these players have had, just to have that as the final game as well, I have got absolutely no idea that what the mental of either of those teams after that one. But honestly, banger game. Banger game. I mean, with a draft like that, we were expecting one. Granted, wasn't expecting 40 minutes, guys, but hey ho, it was an absolute pleasure to watch that one, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. That's going to do it, Tang. What's your final verdict on Iggy in the offlane?
Let's just don't pick it, okay? I think if we pick it, let's pick it with something where the rest of the team synergizes around it, and not like a crunch that needs to go in instead of kite back. I think that's like if we think about fundamentals and then draft, I think the draft that we end up with is something that we actually have fun playing instead of this, where you kind of feel like you're fighting an uphill battle the entire way through.
The words of Tang there are delivered in a final justice. Congratulations to Top Physique for closing out that game. We're going to go to the desk one more time this weekend to close down that game and close out the broadcast.
Welcome back to the desk. Thank you so much, TJ and Tang. That was our last game of the day between Top Physique and VP Salesman here at the PCC. That game really started off slow, to be honest, which contrasts with some of the other games we watched. But as we reached that mid to late game, we saw so many combinations from both sides, but we're talking about the tether, make it rain, along with the iron strike on top of the cage, and the shield slam, and of course, a nasty purge finished with a dusk. Top Physique secures their final victory of the day.
Yeah, and that beginning of the match was like more like tactical positioning battle. We have seen like at the beginning, Kratis starting on the blue buff, going for an early invade, but then like we didn't manage to secure any kills. It was more like team trying to create like a positioning. And we have seen Top Physique securing like the first 4 like small objective. And while like on the side of VP Salesman, they're actually focusing more on trying to get towers and structures. And overall, like it kind of worked it well, but there was a lot of little unfortunate event on the side of VP Salesman. Of course, that steal by Mercy on the third Fang 2s that was like absolutely critical. And then also like those little approximation in team fight that led some player from Top Physique to escape team fight with 1 HP. And at that level, like those small mistake, it's the difference between actually qualifying for a main event or like going back home.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually kind of glad that we got to see a slower early game after some of the banger fast early games that we've seen today. It really allowed us to see that Top Physique actually can play the macro game rather than just getting all of these kills all over the place. So I'm really happy to see, and it really has proved that Top Physique has earned that second spot in the seeding round, right? I can see why that they're so strong. We were saying earlier on in the day that maybe they were overperforming, but I really don't think so. I really think that this team is just very, very good. And, you know, I will say that VP Salesman also did have a good showing in this last game too, even though they didn't come out with a win. I could see some promise with some of the engages from Maguli. He did have a lot of great black holes on top of, you know, multiple members, but it just wasn't enough for them to take the win.
Unfortunately, you know, it really could have gone either way with that last match, but Simba was one of the top star players in Top Physique. A lot of the games we saw today was with him demolishing his Kira, who had the highest win rate out of all the heroes from Swiss Day 1, which was highlighted by Moogie earlier. But you're right, Mr. Meds, the Salesmen played out of their minds and even pulled that Iggy offlane from their sleeve, but it unfortunately wasn't enough to secure this last game of the Swiss, and they weren't able to make the top 8.
Yeah, and like this Iggy offlane, in a sense, like it kind of worked well in the early game, and Tekken Kid is the highest hero damage in that match, but it didn't really work out that well, because even with the Iggy pressure, we never managed to secure any mini prime, while normally you pick Iggy to get like some control of the early objectives that are around the Iggy. Never really happened. And then like Tang mentioned, like it's hard to actually activate it in team fight to help the team. And despite like Italo for very great defenses, very good at clearing waves, so they managed to thwart 2 times Top Physique from winning that game, but they never had a shot to actually like find a window to win the game, what they needed to do.
Yeah, I think that the Iggy pick was just it like you were saying, it had a lot of promise in the early game. With the two towers going down very early. He did miss out on that first tower goal, which might have hurt him just a little bit. But he did have that push, and I would have really liked to see that Iggy really not even join team fights and just push down the structures around the map. But he did have the top hero damage, so I guess we can't say that he didn't do anything in the game. But I think he might have had better luck as a jungle E. I don't know.
Mr. Meds, you really want to see Iggy in the jungle, but even Tang doesn't even want to see Iggy and Scorch in the over in the off lane either. But one of the other players from VP Salesman that we also have to talk about is Poggy D. He also dealt a lot of damage. So he dealt second most damage, total hero damage being 46,644, and ending off with a KDA of 15, 5, and 2. So we know he was there, but where did it all go wrong, Mugi?
Well, to be fair, like the match was pretty close, and this is where like the devils is in the details. Like it's really like those little things that actually made the difference. Once again, I mentioned that steal of like the Fangtus, but why do they steal the Fangtus? Because the explosive flower has not been removed after they win the team fight. Another time they could create like a very strong like opportunity for the Orb Prime, but they all drop down off the ledge on the offlane, and suddenly they don't secure the kill on last Pyrex, and not then the Orb Prime is hard to secure, and they cannot like fully secure it, and they have to disengage. And that's actually like those little things that really like ended up mattering and stopped VP Salesman to find like a foothold into that game and have a chance of winning. And yeah, we think like we look at the score, we look at damage, everything was good, but at that level, it's really like those little details that can create those differences.
Yeah, Poggy D did do a lot of damage, but when you're playing a very split team fight with Grady going in, like we were saying, and then the Iggy in the back line, you're really playing a 4v5 kind of at that point, especially with Grady getting locked down a lot, and by the Decker, by the Steel and everything like that. You're really playing on the back foot, and like you're saying, the devil's in the details, and when you're playing a 4v5 and you're not getting the details, it's kind of hard to come out on top.
GG's, VP Salesman, you don't make it into the top 8 of the main event after their loss to Top Physique. Exclamation point bracket to have the link of the Swiss stages, but we have a little graphic to show you your top 8 teams. It's going to be Dirty Lake and the Boys, the Professors, Flow State, Mind the Gap, Bad Timing, Top Physique, of course, Rogue, and last but not the least, the Doctors. Well, mind you, this is not seeded, but all of these 8 teams we will be seeing on July 27th and July 28th. Here at PCC, we started off with 24, 16 stayed for today, but half of them had to go home. GG's, and thank you for playing. We're going to see you next time on July 27th and July 28th, where we discover who reigns supreme and become a PCC champion. Thank you again for tuning in here at the PCC. We appreciate all the follows, the subscriptions. We see the support. It's flowing, outpouring, and we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you so much to our production, our on-screen, off-screen talent, from our analysts to the casters, the moderators, from the graphics to the videos. Of course, we have to say thanks to the players who are the stars of the show. PCC is a community-based tournament, and our goal is to bring the community together through competitive Predecessor gaming. Unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye today, so let's start off with Mugi, then Mr. Meds.
Well, once again, a blast to be here. People can find me on YouTube on the name Mugiwawa, and of course my website predacademy.com, when there will be like some stats about like the main event when it will be played in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, Thanks everyone for watching. Like our dog said, thanks for the likes, the subscriptions, the follows, everything like that. You'll catch me here or in the general Discord. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the main event. We're gonna have some banger games with all this top talent being split.
Yeah, it was super fun weekend. I hope you had fun too, because we all had fun. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, July 27th and 28th. This is R-Dog with the Triple G's, your host at the PCC. It was a pleasure, but bye for now.